Hey! What up, what up, what up, people?
We back!
We back. If you don't know us, if you've never been here before, this is Gino.
And this is Danny.
And we're both father of three. So, yeah. What are we going to talk about today?
Ho, ho, ho. Let's talk about the age restrictions on entertainment.
Oh,
so
you mean like the actual official rating?
Yeah.
That I actually don't know who the hell makes, but it seems to be grossly inappropriate.
Direct. I don't know. You want to start? You want me to start?
Let me go. Let me start with this. Right. So there's general, and then there is parental guidance. Parental guidance, 8 years old recommended, and then it goes up from there. And because my eldest is 8. Like, that's what I know.
Yeah, that's where it stops, right?
Yeah, but the thing is whatever makes it to the 8, like, no. Like, that ish is wrong. Like, some of that stuff is wrong. And it's not wrong because of the guidance that they've decided, meaning there's no blood, sex, or violence. But the reality is there is sex, there is blood, and there's violence.
Dude, okay, so my eldest is 14, right? You have PG-13.
Yeah.
You have NC-17. You have R.
Yeah.
Or is it M for mature? I keep forgetting. M for mature.
M for mature first.
There's another one I'm missing in the middle. Dude, even I am not sure.
Yeah.
You know what prompted me to think about that subject was last year when 13 Reasons Why came out. The series.
What's 13 Reasons Why?
Oh, wow. You don't remember that one?
What is that?
Oh, that thing blew up. Okay, so it's based on a book. It's a Netflix series they made. It's basically the story of this young girl decides to send. Well, first of all, she commits suicide.
Oh.
But before committing suicide, she sent 13 tapes stating the 13 reasons why she committed suicide.
Damn. Yeah. I remember hearing about it, but I never watched it.
No,
I did not want to watch that.
I did not watch it. I did not watch it. Well, okay, so I'll open a window to my world. There are certain things in entertainment I cannot consume. I cannot watch.
Yeah.
And some would automatically think it's because of my faith, because I'm a Christian. It's not just because of that. It's because I just can't stomach it. Bad experiences make so that anything involving child abuse or rape literally puts me in a frenzy. I want to snap somebody's neck. And with the nature of the work I do in the youth center, already I get to listen to so many horror stories that anything that has to do with that for me is just too close to home. So this is the reason why I will never watch Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
My colleague, his name is James, awesome dude, fellow geek, love that guy.
What up, James?
He, you know co-host, right? James co-host.
Huh?
James co-host. You know him. So I
You work with him?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Who's his dad? Did you know him?
I didn't know.
Guardian Microsystems.
Okay, all right.
So he tells me, yo, this awesome show at the time when Game of Thrones came out. Awesome show, fantasy, and swords, magic. That's some D&D stuff. You would love this. You should totally check it out. He shows me the first episode, and I just click on it. And I mean, I think like the second scene is like breastises. Yeah. It's breast. It's a threesome, basically. It's right there. It starts like that, right? I'm like, oh, okay. By the way, in the background, you can hear like my daughter screaming at his brother to bring a towel. C'est dope, guys, parce que là, vous êtes featured dans le podcast, là. Merci.
We are father of 3 kids.
Father of 3.
Yeah.
So okay, so back to what I'm saying. So Game of Thrones was like, okay, I think I looked like maybe a quarter of the episode.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'll look into it at some point. And then I started checking reviews and what's is done, and some were calling that like porn and blah blah. Look, not judging people watching it. If you're watching it and you're able to, good. But I set my limit at multiple rapes and incest. I'm just not in that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And since, some people say, yeah, but the first few seasons were a lot of that, but there's a lot less now. It's just part of it. There's a lot more. It's extremely bloody. It's extremely...
Yeah.
If you love the story, good. And it's too bad. Dommage.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I would get super engrossed in the story. It's exactly the type of story I love. But for me, there's some things like... The way it's told and the way it's shown...
Yeah.
I can't. I just can't. So... Back to this show. Well, it is. There's some rape scene. There's a rape scene. There's some stuff, and I knew from the get go.
Yeah, but it's like rated R, right?
Like that's the problem. It's not rated R. It is rated.
It's not.
No, I think
Hold on,
it was rated. I think Netflix rated it like TV 14 or something.
No.
Let me just go back. Let's double check the facts.
Yeah, because we have access to the interwebs. The interwebs knows all.
Remember when we used to refer to the World Wide Web?
Yes. Yeah, who calls it the World Wide Web
No.
now? Game of Thrones.
Oh, Game of Thrones. Okay, I was thinking about the 13 Reasons Why. Game of Thrones is most probably
Rating.
mature. 13 Reasons Why. Age rating of. Oh, that's a parent guide. No, I want the. Give me the. Parent guidelines. Okay, Reasons Why. Which they're making in season 2. Okay, no, never mind. My mistake. No, it is rated mature.
Yeah.
It is rated mature. It's rated mature. My beef is that it was, even though it was rated mature, it was super targeted to teenagers because it tells the story of a teenager, and a lot were saying, oh, well, it's parents should watch this with their kids. It shows, dangers of bullying and, blah, blah. It's important to talk about suicide.
Is it?
No, not that way. Not in this context. I am zero for it. I know my daughter. My daughter did watch it with her mom.
Oh, did she?
I don't remember if she watched it completely. I told her I would not give her access to watch it. I said, I'm not gonna give you access on Netflix to watch it because I have everything above TV 14 blocked.
Mm-hmm.
Only I and her mom have the code, so when they need to watch something that for some reason has a higher rating, okay, well, one of us has to be there. So, she has. I don't even know if she, in the end, got to that scene, because the whole series is rated M because of that scene, because of that episode, which I forgot which number it is, right? Now. Here's where it gets tricky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have a show that has a rating that is not high enough, and sometimes you have a rating that's too high, and it all comes back down to what you can stomach or what you accept your kids to stomach or digest in viewing content. So I think I want to go a bit deeper into that. So you mentioned. Your kids, you have something that's for 8 years old. It's supposed to be proper, but you watch it and you're like, no, it's not.
Yeah. Like,
Do you have examples?
SpongeBob. Like, I'm sorry. But I'm sorry. I find it grossly inappropriate. I find a lot of the content inappropriate. I find a lot of the suggestions inappropriate. The jokes inappropriate.
A lot of euphemism.
Yeah, there's
a reason why those memes with SpongeBob are so
popular.
Like they use it popular.
Yeah,
because the nature of the show itself is
It's
pretty
euphemisms all over the place.
all over the place.
And I mean, I get it, unfortunately, but no, I don't find it appropriate. I don't find it funny or amusing to see this sort of use of language, normalizing it, and like, no. I mean, I don't like. I'm not a big fan of the Power Rangers, but at least there's no innuendo on anything else.
Yeah.
However, the way the costumes are and how they normalize violence, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. Like, I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and of course, that's what the kids prefer. That's what they love. They are big fans of the Power Rangers, Ninja Force, and, you know.
Yeah, the rest.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, what I was hoping for to see more of on Netflix is like the Paw Patrol and that kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that
the fluff.
Yeah, it's fluffy. You get sick of it eventually because you're supposed to. You're not supposed to watch 15 hours of this stuff. You watch a few episodes, you've kind of gotten the gist, you turn it off and you go play.
But that's a super interesting point right now. Wouldn't it be kind of the point of them changing the way the content is to make it more addictive? I think so. I think there's something to be said about, hey, if we make it fluffy and they are able to shut it down, I think that's they've marketers or showmakers have upgraded storytelling. I think that's awesome, by the way. It's good that we can have something that tells a story. But as soon as you have an engrossing story, that also means, well, you're gonna stay here longer, and that's kind of what Netflix wants, anyways. It wants you to, it wants you to consume. It wants you to be here and keep those ratings and numbers going up. So and it's by itself, it has been created to binge. That was the first thing that attracted people to it. It was like, yo, I can go and watch this
The whole season.
the whole season before I had to go to Blockbuster. Blockbuster. And just
By the way, I don't know if you heard, the last Blockbusters are closing.
Weren't they already closed?
No.
They were still. The company hadn't closed yet?
No. So Blockbusters had a lot of corporate stores, but there were some franchises. Guess where?
Where?
Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah, there were 3 stores left in Alaska. And you know what the most of what they get is? People visiting to take pictures. People will fly out to Alaska to go visit Blockbusters and take pictures. Wow. And show their kids, like, hey, before Netflix, this is what we had to do. Which is, like, super rude to the locals. Like, they don't have very high-speed internet.
Yes.
So, you know.
They still have to go and rent tapes, DVDs, whatever, whatnot.
DVDs. Yeah. Blu-rays and DVDs. But, yeah. They have to go and get movies.
So that's here. When you wanted to really indulge, you had to rent a whole bunch of DVDs or a series and say, I'm going to binge on it. Now you can do it without moving.
Yeah.
You're just home. You paid a flat fee and you stream it. So knowing that, I kind of understand why those shows have different elements that are more addictive, more attractive to kids. And sometimes it involves also putting in some controversy. I mean, we always had that kind of. We're talking about SpongeBob. If you think about it, back in the days, we had
The Simpsons.
Yes.
Yo.
Simpson is a good example. I was gonna go a bit more raunchy because there was Ren and Stimpy.
I never watched that stuff.
Rocko's Modern Life.
The Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah, all of these were all more like on the edge.
Yeah, but I never, like, I was never interested. You know what? There were a couple of series, La Vie. I don't know if you've ever watched that.
Oui, La Vie. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
But in that line, the same drawing, the same exact character, they had a different. They had one on history. They had one on
space.
Life science. They had one on
space. One.
So I watched all of those things.
Yeah,
And to me,
that
that was like super interesting. I want those shows back. I want those shows back because it was entertaining, but it was also educational.
Yeah.
Right. Just like I enjoyed watching. What's the name of that show? L'Enfant du Soleil. What's the name of that show? Stedor. Yeah. If you don't know what that is, and I don't know if it was ever translated.
It was because it was a combined effort between a French and an American company, I think.
Was it?
I think so.
That's
I mean,
interesting.
they made a video.
Thank you for the.
I have to go and Google some more, but I remember it was translated. That was a classic. Oh yeah, that was an awesome one.
They remade it.
Yeah, I never watched it though.
Oh my God, you're missing out. Oh, the new version, amazing.
Did they bring the story back from the get go?
They created a new story on
Okay.
the back of the old one,
Okay.
expanded, created more. They created new characters. They've pushed more onto the aliens. Like it's really really interesting. What's cool about it is it's completely entertaining. But they talk basically it's the show's an RPG, right? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they have to find tools in order to solve problems, and the way they do it, sure there's some violence, there are certain fights, but the fight scenes are not punch punch, let me turn into my Megazord,
Yeah,
like it's none of
exactly.
that stuff. You know what I mean? And it's old traps and old solutions, new solutions. Like it's super. I find it super super interesting to watch, and I love watching it with the boys. And at the end, they always have a little snippet where they talk about.
So they still have that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They've
When they
maintained
talk
it.
about the history of the Mayans.
They talk.
and-
Yeah.
okay. And
Old,
Inca
old. Yeah. The
Aztec
old.
and, okay.
Cultures, but now they've expanded it because they travel the world now, right? Because they have the big
The
bird.
the condor.
Yeah, the condor. They fly around the world, and so they'll give stories about China, about South America, about Africa. Like it's really cool. They really have expanded their universe.
That's super dope. So
Yeah, but those types of shows, those types of educational, interesting type of content, which by the way, I personally find more addictive, because the storyline is written in such a way that it literally has a cliffhanger every 30 minutes.
yeah,
There's a cliffhanger, something's gonna happen, you have to wait till the next episode.
that's right.
I think that's more addictive, in my personal opinion, again, than the regular type of shows. And yet, it's non-violent, there's no blood, there's no cursing, there's none of that stuff. It's just good content, good educational content. I don't know why they don't make more of those types of shows, because I would assume that parents would want it. You know what? I think it's you that turned me on to this, because it took me a while to get that. The most lucrative movies are the ones where the whole family can participate.
Yes.
And yet, that is not the most made type of movie. Why is that? Right? If you look at financials, Finding Nemo will be more popular than it. Right?
Yeah.
There's more people that are going to go see Finding
Yeah.
Nemo.
No, exactly. You're right.
Because
you're right.
when you go to Finding Nemo, mom, dad, and the babies are going to see it at the theater.
Yeah.
Versus it's usually going to be the teenagers, maybe some adults, but it's not going to be the family. So evidently, the opportunity to sell 4 tickets is greater than the opportunity to sell 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So why is it that it is not more popular?
It might be just because it takes more work.
Does it?
I think it does.
Does it really?
Well, I'll give you an example. Notice that you mentioned Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Was super well written.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about and there was the advantage of okay. Let's take a movie like Up.
Oh, God,
Anything that goes Pixar or
Yeah.
Dream. Is it Dreamcast? No,
DreamWorks.
DreamWorks,
Mhm.
right? The fact that graphic wise and story wise,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of like, I'm gonna say, really good Disney movies like animations that flopped. Just because there wasn't really an interest for it, or whatnot, or it was before its time, right?
Okay.
But there was still a lot of work, a lot of money put. You know, there's some crappy movies right now that come out. Hollywood just churns bad movies one after the other, and they know they're still gonna make a certain level of profit because they put sex, drugs, and violence. And it's easier to just throw. It's like saying it's easier to throw some effects on it than to go back and say I'm gonna write something awesome.
So what you're saying is the prospect of seeing Angelina Jolie's back is more attractive than a good script.
Yeah. And so somebody could have argued, why not put Angelina Jolie in a great script and then but now we have to have a great director too. That's a lot of people to pay, man.
And so, from an investor's perspective,
let me just put some
it's
crap
cheaper.
out.
Yeah,
There was
that's interesting.
a musical comedy. I forget the name. I have to Google it. Where the premise was this company, this production company, realizes that they would make more money by bombing than making a hit
Okay.
financially because
Yeah.
of they're getting money from the government and they're making this production. But then if they fail, well, the money they're gonna have left will be better. So they go about their way to make the worst movie possible, and unfortunately, it actually is super successful, and they're screwed anyways. I have to find that movie. I laughed, but seriously, sometimes I feel like this is how things are right now. Also, I think Hollywood always had an agenda.
What is the
Entertainment.
agenda?
I'm not ready to put my finger on it yet.
Yeah.
Scream, bloody murder, the Eye, Illuminati, and all other conspiracy theories. But I think it's evident that the entertainment has always tried to curve us in a certain way, and you look at how it creates content right now,
Yeah.
and it's still that way. We're gonna curve you towards something that we control. We don't want you. If you look at the music industry and the fall of music labels,
Yeah.
you will see that the entertainment business always wants to keep the artists and the public in shackles. And once you're outside of that range, they freak out. So if we're going to go geek with it, remember when everybody, including Metallica, was fighting Napster and the proliferation of MP3 technology, right? Obviously, they lost that fight, and MP3 is everywhere. But do you remember that part where they were fighting? Like, no, we're going to use everything else. Windows will be WMV, and then Apple will use, what was the dot? I forget. But before MP4, they were using the audio one. I forget the audio one.
AAC.
Yeah, exactly. It was AAC. Yeah. And then Sony had their own. And everybody was making their own controlled DRM extension for music because they didn't want to let go of the control. But they also had the artist in shackles. Now, we as independent artists can do everything by ourselves. And now the label's not that important to us. Well, they're always going to try to curb us. And that's what I'm seeing in the entertainment. So when they're telling us, and I think that's kind of the lesson here. Okay, there's guidelines. Don't forget their parental guidelines.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the law. And if we catch you, well, actually, is it illegal? If I'm not saying I would, guys, before like child services call me, but would it constitute something illegal if I showed porn to my children?
Well, it might be construed as child abuse. Yeah.
It would.
Yeah. Well,
so that would be the angle.
So here's the thing, right? I don't think that showing it to them is the problem. I think if they start demonstrating issues and they can point
we'll point it to that. Okay.
Yeah, then they'll say, well, there's child abuse. There's child abuse that happened here.
But technically, just
no,
by
watching the content
would
is not
legally.
it's not illegal.
So so what I was gonna say is
it's immoral, but not illegal.
Exactly. So that's what I was gonna say. Hey, if your kids watch, my son is 9, and I watch something that's PG-13, like Popo ain't knocking on my door, entertainment Popo ain't knocking on my door.
No.
But like you said, if there would be a way to link back some bad attitude or bad behavior, then maybe. But so again, parental guidelines. So there are some things that I watch with my kids that are rated higher, but I find that the story, what it's involved in, and I think that my kids are mature enough that they can take certain things, then yes. At the same time, there's some young stuff for kids, like you say, that's supposed to be fluff, and they talk about things that it doesn't work. I'm gonna give you an example though, because to a certain extent, I find myself to be a hypocrite.
Okay.
I will explain why. I must have been 9 when I watched, or 10 when I watched RoboCop, the first one.
Wow, that ish was violent.
As F, Okay.
Yo, drugs, sex,
And
violence,
guns, a lot of gore.
blood. Yeah.
Again, I did not go and check for consent from my parents. No, it just so happens that a friend who had a Super Écran at the time, so the movie network basically, and he had a collection of all the movies. He would tape VHS everything, and we borrowed these tapes.
Wow.
So that's totally illegal. So my parents, oh, you have tape, and they would give us like 3, 4, 5 tapes, and then every twice a week they would watch a movie at night, like the whole family. And when I was awake, there was something for me, and then later on they would watch something that's more adult. Now, during the day, let's say I'm left by myself, I'm like, let me just take a tape, put a movie on. Oh, I'm just RoboCop. If you haven't seen it, it's an 80s movie. We're talking about the 80s, right? Dude,
80s kids.
this 80s kids.
Yeah.
The movie RoboCop, yo, it starts harsh, my man.
Yeah.
RoboCop, the way this is not Power Ranger. I'm transforming with the power of the Dragon Zords, and no, this is like this dude's Robo because like his members, like his arms and legs were shot off.
Yeah.
He's riddled with bullets. It is messed up. So I've watched that movie. I've watched the first Batman. Why am I saying a hypocrite?
Oof.
I will tell you why.
Yeah.
I remember it was 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the first Batman was playing on TV. And it just so happens that I think Elijah and Jamal were there, and they just watching TV. I still had cable at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Cut that crap! I'm a cable cutter. Don't need that crap no more. Batman's playing, and I go, because I was cleaning, doing something, and then I'm like, what are you guys watching? And I go, I'm like, you can't be watching that. It was the first Batman from the 80s. Close that up, change. And I was super pissed off. What are you doing watching something so violent, blah, blah. And they were like, Dad, we've watched the other Batman.
Oh.
Like, they've seen Batman Begins.
Okay.
So I catch myself being like,
Yeah.
carry on. Why did I say carry on?
Yeah.
Because I realized, whether for good, bad or worse, they're accustomed to this.
Yeah.
They've already been accustomed to this. There's been, I'm not going to say necessarily more violent things, but they've seen other things, other shows for kids where there's a lot of action.
Mm-hmm.
To a certain extent, sometimes might be worse than the Batman. I mean, the only difference with this Batman is because since the graphic, the special effects are old school, it seems different, but it's the same violence. What we thought was incredible, we thought when Batman came out, the first one, this was a master. Wow, Batman!
Yeah.
This guy is
He can fly.
and but it was so.
He has a plane.
It was so different than Batman, the super cheesy beam bath poof Adam West
Adam
version.
West,
That for us to finally see
but I love
the
Adam
Batman.
West version.
Yeah, I do. It was
It's
cool.
cool.
See, this is what you would let kids watch.
Absolutely.
It was family oriented.
Yes.
Right? It was edited, quote unquote censored in that way. It was peef, paf, boom.
Yeah,
And
with
it was cool. Yeah, the images.
Yeah.
But then I said,
And the minions,
Yeah,
super
all the minions.
I love the
Yeah,
minions.
exactly.
My favorite minions, by the way, were always the minions of Catwoman.
Oh yeah. Yes. It's true. That was super. That was so fun.
That was fun.
It was a good show. It was a good show. But I understand. Look, this is more violent, more action oriented. And here's the other part too. I love superheroes.
Yeah, of course.
So my kids also have followed up and they love superheroes. I can't be the guy that's like, okay, so let us go check the Avengers. Let's go check these heroes. And I'm going to turn around like, no, Batman. That would show that I prefer Marvel versus DC. And that would be prejudice. And I don't want to teach that to my children.
Obviously, everybody loves Marvel over DC.
Marvel!
Like, seriously.
Send the hate mail. I don't care.
Yeah.
So see, that's just an example of, look, these shows, when we're kids, I think we were exposed to, it would suck for us to say that they that we were a generation that was so cool and good, and we never did things bad, and that it's this new generation, the new ones, the millennials, the X that the third, they're the worst. Guy, we did some messed up stuff when we were younger too.
Did we?
Dude, there's some shows we've watched. I don't know. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff that we were exposed to. It wasn't as not prevalent, not evident. I think.
Explain. What like we watch certain shows that have perhaps a different level of like, I'm sorry, but I watched Passepartout as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, that's the show.
Okay, let's go with this.
I watched Robin
Estella.
Yeah, I watched that. Like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Right, I enjoyed it. I watched Les Débrouillards. Right,
Mm-hmm.
I watched that.
Great show.
I loved it.
Learned a lot from this.
I did too.
I mean, I've learned French. I've learned English and a bit of Spanish because of Sesame Street.
Yeah.
That's how everybody. Oh, you speak English really well, and you know Anglophone. No, I'm not. I'm a Francophone first. I learned French. I learned both languages pretty early. I mean, I spoke both languages around 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But still, it's not my first language. But I watched these shows, and that's how I learned English.
Yeah.
So, cool. Maybe we don't have similar or the same type of shows. But just last week, I heard on the CBC there was a marketing article.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about how marketing was done back in the days, talking about the 60s, and they gave the example. Again, I'm back with I'm talking about the way the business, the industry sends you towards something, okay? Mm-hmm. They gave the example of symbolism. What does a cigarette mean? In advertising, right?
Yeah.
So back in days, you watched, Dick Tracy or any of these noir films, the detective lights a cigarette and it was a sense of maturity. You were cool.
Yeah.
Everything showed you that smoking was cool.
Yeah.
So we keep forgetting. We used to have advertising for smoking. We don't anymore. It's illegal. We don't do that anymore. But we used to have it everywhere. Mm-hmm. The fact of seeing a man take a matchstick on a wall and light his cigarette was such a wow. He's a man.
Iconic, yeah.
And then a bit later on, with the feminism revolution, when women smokes a cigarette on screen,
yeah,
it is a sign of independence, of rebellion. Like, yeah, I'm smoking a cigarette. And in movies, combine women and men together.
Yeah.
If a man takes his lighter and lights a woman's cigarette, the next scene is them having sex. And after that scene having sex, what are they doing? They're smoking a cigarette as gratification. What am I teaching to my kids?
Yeah, cigarettes.
And back in the days, there was no sexual scenes. You wouldn't see them in the tumble. You wouldn't see them, but everybody knew. So, towards that, right? Morally, it was okay. So all the family could watch that movie.
Yeah.
All the family could watch that show, but you're still.
But the innuendo was such that the kids wouldn't understand.
I argue that because it's innuendo and it's slick, they don't consciously do it, but unconsciously it's there. So nobody was telling them, hey, smoking cigarettes makes you cool and mature. Because that was not the case, right?
No. I'm not talking about the cigarette smoking per se. I'm more speaking to what would be quote unquote inappropriate behavior from adults, right? The fact of having sex on camera.
Okay, yeah.
Right? The fact of not seeing it, we were too young to understand that that's what they were doing.
We skipped a step.
We just skipped a step, right?
Fast forward.
We saw the man lighting a cigarette, and then we saw the man lighting another cigarette, only he's naked in bed with a woman.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't understand that. Maybe it's, I was very sheltered as a kid, but I did not understand this whole idea of sex until I don't know. Like, to me, getting with a girl meant you kissed her.
Yeah.
Like that was, oh my god, you can, oh my god! And I'm talking about when I was like 15, 16. Like that to me
it was a big deal. Yeah.
That was a big deal. The big deal was, oh my god, you kissed a girl. Oh my god, what's gonna happen? Did your mom know? Does your mom know? Does your mom know? Oh my god.
Did you catch cooties? Did you catch cooties? Did you catch the cooties?
Like,
What kind of cooties?
Like that's how I grew up. I grew up very, very sheltered, and I thank my parents for that because I didn't realize just how valuable it was. There's also the fact that I was busy as hell.
Keep busy. I always say that, man. Idle hands, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Idle hands is dangerous, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep busy, man. I'm a busy dude.
I went to school like 2 hours away from the house, so just the fact of going to school and coming back, that in and of itself kept me busy. And then on top of that, band practice, and then on top of that, church, singing classes, plays. Right, I was busy with a whole bunch of things, and if that's not enough, I was part of the youth organization, and I was usually in charge of concerts. I was the sound guy. Like, so I was always busy. And whoever entered into my circle, my first reaction was, you know what? I ain't got time for this. You come here.
Yes, follow me.
Follow me. We'll hang out, and then
run with it.
Where most people were like, oh well, you know, whatever, and then they were, oh snap, you really actually are. Doing all this stuff.
That's basically what's happening.
Right? But and so to me, like this idea of the interaction between men and women, like to me, holding hands was a huge deal. Kissing, massive deal. The idea of sex was not in my head.
Yeah. At
all. Not because I didn't understand what sex was, but just I was like, I don't know what it is, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a lot of trouble and it would be messy.
And it is.
and I wouldn't even know where to go.
Yeah.
Like keep in mind, bungalow, family of 7, like, you know.
Yes.
Like it's too much work. Sounds like too much work.
So there is something to say about keeping a certain part secret and innocent.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that we still were unconsciously
receiving those messages.
Those messages, the work, and I know it's touchy.
Yeah.
We look at a lot of stuff that's more perverse or more in your face nowadays. Okay. So I agree. When you talk about sex, there is a difference. And back in the days, that sex is really in your face right now.
Yeah.
People have a lot more questions, or kids, should I say, have more questions because they're affected by this, right?
Mm-hmm. Gino, there's a scene in the movie Batman that you mentioned. Batman went to Ricky Vale's house, and then the Joker breaks in, and he pretends to kill him, and Batman survives because he had put like a metal tray in his coat, and he knew that he was going to shoot him to the heart, but you know, which shows how smart Batman is. That he wasn't wearing a helmet or anything, but he knew that it would be a hard shot. That scene, you do realize that they had spent the night together. But nobody talks about the fact that they just spent the night together.
Yeah, I forgot that part.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. But they just spent the night together. But they don't need to show it. They don't need to show the intimacy. They don't need to show that stuff. So yes, sure, there's this very violent scene where he shoots him and there's no blood and whatever. We're not sure, is he dead? Oh my God, Michael Keaton's dead. But the reality is there was no act of inappropriate behavior except for the man in purple pulling out a gun. Now my point is in the new Batman, you see more. There's more scene. One of my favorite movies, by the way, A History of Violence. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. One of my favorite movies. I love it.
And it's a good. Oh, okay, yeah, I know where you're going with this one. Oh yeah.
As I was watching the movie, and I am super into the story, and if you've never watched A History of Violence, go watch it. Absolutely amazing. There's this one scene where full frontal nudity, and that was just like, why?
For free. I knew we were gonna mention that. For free.
Like, I was watching the story, and I was really, really into it until that scene.
Why?
It just slapped me across the face. But why? And the director, I watched the director's cut. He explained why.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. Basically, they show the intimacy that they have, and then gradually, spoiler alert, gradually they show how that intimacy fizzles away to the point where this man that's obviously in love with his wife sees her walking right in front of him, completely naked, and yet she ignores him and he ignores her. Right? She's just coming out of the shower.
You see her again, but it says that there's nothing.
There's nothing.
You're right.
So it's to show that's the reason why he did it this way. I'm like, she could have worn a bathrobe, it would have had the same effect.
Yeah. Sometimes okay, so what you said.
That was lazy. That was just lazy.
What you said.
Yeah.
This brings me to the point I was gonna make.
Yeah.
Back to me not wanting to see stuff with rape. There are 1,000 ways you can allude to what happened.
Yeah.
But nowadays it
They want to
seems
show it.
everything needs to be in your face.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be the same way they blamed us for sheltering kids earlier and holding their hands too much.
Yeah.
It seems like they don't realize you're literally holding people's hands and throwing them inside of it now. Let me make the connection of what happened. I can.
Have you seen? Had you ever seen the old Godzilla?
I must have seen at least
Like
a couple.
Like the old original Godzilla.
Yeah. Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah. The real. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm sorry. It sounds horrible. I just realized just how offensive that was. But you know what?
I was gonna Nani.
And then there's the new version. Well, the new version, the one where there's the Puff Daddy song in the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So we went
horrible
from
movie.
You know what? Yes.
It was horrible.
So we went from an old movie where the hype was to see there's going to be a monster. Yeah. We know there's a monster. The monster
was a classic Keijo movie, yeah.
And then the new version, it's the exact other way around. Look the monster, look the monster, look the monster, look the monster. It's as if they spend their entire budget making the face of that damn monster.
Yeah.
And they wanna get every look they can. Like I don't know, I would love to look up the stats to know how many times you see Godzilla in the movie. I would love to know how many times you see him in the movie. I would love to know how many times they show the monster in the movie, because it's got to be hundreds of times per minute, and completely gratuitously. It adds no value to the storyline when you see him turn his head across the building and look at someone. Like, it's better. I'd rather feel the mystery of, oh my god, I'm going to see it, and have that suspense build up. And you're right to say that it takes a better screenplay writer, it takes better actors, it takes more work to make this happen. But you know what? I thought that the art of cinematic of cinema magic was to transport you into this world and make you believe. I'm disconnected when I see
it kicks you off.
Yeah.
Two examples, okay? The movie Final Destination.
I have not seen it.
Okay. No,
because too gross.
Too okay. Gruesome. So to remember, and I'm not a horror movie fan.
I hate horror movies. You're not a fan?
I'm not a fan. Most of them I hate.
Yeah.
There's a couple I've seen, and we can get deeper into that.
Yeah.
But
we should have a movie episode.
We should.
Yeah.
We should. We were gonna add that to the notes.
So guys, name your top 10 movies, okay? And we will discuss the top 10.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Randomly just pitch in a movie and we'll get into it. So Final Destination basically is this guy is supposed to go on a field trip with the rest of his class.
Yeah.
They're supposed to take the plane. Right before getting into the plane, he has he gets on the plane and the plane crashes, and horribly, and then he's brought back to the moment he got on the plane and realizes he's had like a vision of what was going to happen in the future. Screams, it goes hectic, and him and a couple of his schoolmates, classmates get kicked out of the plane, and they find out that the plane crashes. And now they think, wow, we've cheated death. But death comes back to them in reverse order of how they were seated in the plane. So now they're trying to save each other from dying, basically, because death can come from just going outside for a jog, or playing the piano and something breaks and cuts you in half, basically.
Yeah.
Now,
The gruesome stuff that
yes.
I want to watch. Yeah.
So now, the director said that at first they had the movie. It was supposed to be in a way that they were making the movie like a Jason or a Freddy movie, where there's a monster, there's a criminal, there's an evil. It's personified. So it was going to be a Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Right. Using the classic allegory of death and its sight.
Yeah.
Right. And killing people. But he said, you know what? It's going to be so much more powerful if it is simply a force.
Yeah.
You can't hit it. You can't battle it. You can't fight it.
Yeah.
It's there. It's as if nature is just taking its course, right? And it just happens, and cheating it, nowhere are we told where this vision came from. That's the kind of thing I'm not in agreement of, but I understand it's this world, right? So there's no personification of evil, so there was no personification of good.
Yeah.
So there's no place in any of those movies, and I've only watched, I think, the first and the second. Afterwards, I didn't watch because it's too much. Okay, there's no where it's written or shown where those visions come from. It's almost as if they're saying it was a glitch in the Matrix. It's basically not. Oh shoot, you weren't supposed to know that. And then life. Or death just rectifies that mistake or that glitch, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it's personified. That movie is powerful because of that. The omission of that person, right? Same thing for sex. I think when I watch a movie, it's so much more powerful when things are alluded to, and you just show me enough so I can get to the conclusion, or in the end, just say it in the next scene, right?
Yeah.
Or you could, but the reason that's what brought in the existence of the term torture porn.
Yeah.
Which is the movie like is it Jigsaw? No, it's. But the evil guy is Jigsaw. But what's the name of those movies? Oh shoot, I don't remember. Saw. It's Saw, right? Because I don't actually watch horror movies. There was a time, that's way back. I would simply, because I watch what I watch. I check before, and sometimes when I wasn't sure about a movie, I would literally just go and read the script. I think the script or just spoiler completely and just watch. And be like, yeah, I wouldn't want to watch that. So I would screen my own stuff because I don't want to get into something where I have to deal with some nightmares, rape, or black magic, stuff I don't believe in or that I don't want to get involved. And then there's that other side of me that people are going to say, well, you're such a hypocrite. I used to love Walking Dead. But the zombie movie, because I saw the first one. Well, first of all, I'm a big fan of Resident Evil, gaming-wise. Yeah. I don't like horror games, but Resident Evil was the first one I watched and I played in high school. Damn. This guy told me, yo, the PlayStation, this game is awesome. I played it and I was like, oh my God! I was screaming everywhere, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story, how engrossing it was. Yeah. And then Walking Dead made me think of that game, so I liked it, but it fizzled real quick. I watched like the first 2 seasons, part of the third one, and now I'm like, I don't care. So, but I liked the zombie movie, or the zombie series. Yeah, is not actually about the zombies. It's about the human nature and how people act when they get in that situation.
Oh, interesting.
The rules are gone.
Yeah.
There's this great evil or danger, but yet people screw themselves over.
Really?
And this, that, dude, it's super, seriously, just for the first season, I would tell you, it is worth it. And it's a small season. It's like 6 or 7 episodes.
Okay, I'll watch it.
It would be worth it to watch it because, yes, at first you're like, zombies, I'm not interested. How it's made, you're like, yo, you want more. Okay. So I would tell you, it's totally interesting. Go watch it. Awesome thing. But apart from that, I don't need the sex scenes. There's so many times where I'll watch, as dudes, yes, we're attracted to certain things. But for me, if I have a really dope dope story. I don't need none of the gore. I need none of the sex.
Yeah.
I do like the action. I like the drama that goes with it.
Good action.
And
It has
then
to be good action.
It has to be good action.
Yeah.
And if it's super hyper, like you have to suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
Fine. You brought me into this world. It's this universe. Cool. I'll follow those rules.
So if I may, what I enjoy is science fiction,
Mm-hmm.
but it's science fiction.
Fiction. Yeah.
Right? You can't change the rules every 5 minutes just because it suits your storyline.
Oh, my man James would say that's right. That's right. He likes when the rules.
Yeah.
Okay, you gave me these rules.
Yeah.
They're set.
Yeah.
Now I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you tell me we're in the upside down world that everything is dark, and then at the end, don't give me a Deus Ex Machina where you just save the world with an item that did not exist. It was never announced beforehand.
Yeah.
It should not be there, and then and why did they get saved? They were supposed to die. Give me a logical reason, and logical per the rules you have already set, and I'll be okay with it.
Hence, science fiction.
Yes.
I get it, it's fiction, but it has to be based on science. Whatever science it is.
That's
even
right.
Even if it's alchemy science, I don't care.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
If it's equal, how do you call that?
Equivalent exchange.
Equivalent exchange?
Yeah,
then
I'm
good.
okay with
I'm running with it.
I'll run
If somebody breaks that rule, you better show me like why this. He's the Jedi? Cool. Okay. He's the Kuzak Satarak? Cool. He's the one that can bend reality? Cool. He's the Neo? Cool. Okay. That's actually what pissed me off with The Matrix, as an example. The first one was set and cool. Second one came in, huh? And then by the third, wait. It was supposed to be this way?
Yeah.
And at the last minute, you change everything, and that's not how it works? Skip it.
Yeah.
You jumped the shark on this one.
Sharknado's on you. Yes.
Sharknado! Horrible movie!
Did you watch it?
No!
Okay, because like the concept itself upset me. The concept, the idea.
The concept annoys
Sharknado, really? Flying sharks, really?
The concept pisses you off? Dude, the fact that there's 5 installments.
There's 5?
Dude, there's 5.
Oh my
let me re-Google that for a second to make sure I'm not lying to you guys.
Oh my god, there's more than one. I didn't know. So while you're searching this on Sharknado, it's just I just want to wrap this up. So I'm kind of bothered with the rating systems, but the reason why it bothers me is mostly because I trust my children to do a few of the activities alone, right? So usually early in the mornings on Saturdays, I'll let them watch a little bit of TV while we sleep in a little bit.
Pause. Sorry, 6.
There's 6 Sharknadoes.
The next one is coming July 25th, 2018. There's 6 Sharknadoes.
Do you have any stats on how much views? How much money they made?
Dude,
because those are like made for TV movies, right?
I'm just scared they made a. Wait, I didn't count the spin-offs.
Oh gosh.
Lava Lantula. I'm guessing it's a tarantula made of lava,
or it lives in lava. A tarantula that can survive in lava. But there's so many of those B movies now. There's so many of them. Many of them. But yeah, so the reason why the whole rating thing bothers me is because I've kind of made it the habit. Saturday morning, we try to sleep in. William doesn't sleep because he doesn't. That's just the way he is. He'll wake up at 6:30 and run downstairs. Like I told you, the TV unlocks at 8 o'clock, so there's nothing for him to watch before then. And then at 8 a.m., his brother typically will get up super, super groggy and come downstairs to play with him. And by 8 o'clock, they're watching a little bit of Netflix. And then usually around 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm up. I'm preparing breakfast. We're doing breakfast as a family. And then, noonish, whatever, depending on the weather, we'll either go out to play or we'll go run some errands or we'll do something, and then I'll take everybody with me. By that time, by the way, William and Eli, because they've been up so long, they've been up early and there's no school, hasn't been much stimuli for them. They'll usually pass out in the car. and while I'm running the groceries, or if they don't, then I'll take them out to go play, so that when we come back,
you're ready to go.
Yeah, and then we do dinner and whatever. But there's a lot of times where the activity of the day, just because there's nothing to do in the house, I'll you know, usually early morning they'll watch TV, eat a bowl of cereal if they're really hungry, and so Netflix is what I prefer. I don't want them watching too much of the television, because believe it or not, the commercials bother me more.
Yes. Which is kind of what we're talking about when we're saying influence, right?
Oh yeah.
It's super targeted. We know who they're doing this for, how they're doing it. The stats gathering has been so much more intrusive that now, dude, it's I'm telling you, I love the fact that I'm a cable cutter. I don't have everything. I don't have commercials, so I just watch what I want to watch when I want to watch it, and nobody else is coming, hey, by the way, buy this mascara and whatnot.
You have a 14-year-old daughter.
Yep, and who? See, I'll give you just a small example. So, I have Amazon Prime, so I order some stuff for my good friend who's having a baby real soon. So I buy 4 or 5 things. Ever since then, my whole Amazon profile has been polluted, because now it keeps sending me stuff. Oh, by the way, maybe you'll be interested for this, that, and maybe you want a new stroller, and like, I am so far from having a new one. This is called Father 3. I'm not about to make Father a fool.
Oh yeah, I'm done.
I like my co-host. It's just, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it at 3. The number is not going to change. So, but that's how it is right now, right? So I like the fact that, like you, if I go on TV on my television and I watch something, I don't have this intrusive, oh yeah, buy this from us, and I'm good with that.
Yeah. Regardless, the kids, and the, you know, that's good and bad, and that's another conversation entirely. But they're so used to instant gratification. They are so used to instant content. Listen, William went to my mom's, and he did a speed test. He went to speedtest.net. He ran a speed test and said, "Grandma, you only have 5 megabytes. You need to upgrade your internet."
He's right.
You need to upgrade your internet. And of course my mom's like, "Okay, what should I have?"
50. Minimum
and
50.
then my mom actually upgraded her internet because her grandson asked her to, and she wants to. She wants
need to be able to provide the things. You go.
And so she upgraded the internet for the kid.
I love that. I love that.
I love my mom. I really, really do. But my God, these kids are spoiled. Oh my God. But on the flip side, that's what grandmas are supposed to be like. So whatever.
So I think we hit the hour, man. 57 minutes.
Yeah, we've gone long enough on the subject, and I don't want to ramble. So, thank you very much for listening. If you've been here the whole time, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, comment. If you have questions, comments. If you want us to talk about other movies or TV shows or whatever, I'd love to. I'd love to open up those conversations, because there's certain shows that it would be cool to review. And maybe talk about our geeky perspective, our geeky parental perspective.
Yes.
And so on. So if you're, again, Father of 3 on YouTube, that's where we put all the stuff. On Facebook, we're Father of 3. On Instagram and Twitter as well. If you have, if you want to just talk to us directly, if you just want to have a conversation, we're usually very responsive. We respond. We read everything. We respond to everything in a orderly and fast fashion as we can. But we're both, like, we're Father of 3 guys. Like, for reals.
Give us a minute.
Give us a minute sometimes. But
we'll get to you.
Yeah, and we're trying to upgrade the production level. But we need your support for this, right? And your support comes in the way of messing with the content.
Viewing, liking, sharing, telling other people, come and check this out. You might be interested. Maybe a different perspective than yours. And I think that's the battle of the minds. That's the interesting part. It's just exchanging. And the same way we hope we're teaching or showing you something interesting, we hope to learn from you guys.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. Feedback. So
Yeah, we need feedback.
send it in.
Yeah, so thank you very much. It's Father of Three, guys. Peace.
Peace.